Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel BlackMap VR. If your parents are anything like mine, they were probably worried about how much time you spent in front of a screen. They thought that Game Boy would steal your soul, and that the N64 would make you into such a deadbeat that you would spend the rest of your life in their basement. They want us to be engaged in the real world, to have an imagination, to do more things than just sit in front of a TV screen, a Game Boy screen, a computer screen. And they wanted us to be able to do more with our hands than just find the X and Y button on a controller. But if you were anything like me, you probably thought that your parents were just outdated dinosaurs who didn't realize that the future was going to be a future of gadgets, devices, and technology. So who was right in that debate? Well, I think probably the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Thinking about kids, let's be honest, you and I both know kids, even adults, who have spent a tremendous amount of time, a significant portion of their lives, on some app or some game that for their future development is going to benefit them absolutely zero. And in fact, it may actually hurt them academically or their ability to engage socially with other people. But is that a good enough reason for someone just to dismiss technology altogether and to think that anything with a screen is evil? No. We all know that older person who just outright rejects anything that's new. But let's be honest, for adults, we have to be able to recognize that the future has technology in it. And that's become undeniable, especially over the last couple decades, where we've seen computers, smartphones, tablets, now wearables, and virtual reality and augmented reality and medical technology change the world. And that's not going to stop anytime soon. Here's another thing that's undeniable, and that is that the technical skills that allow people to build and operate and work on these new technologies are going to be extraordinarily valuable in the job market. Not only are they today, but they will be even more so in the future. And that's why I think this piece of toy tech, the Nintendo Labo VR, is one of the best toys that you can buy on today's market if you want to future-proof your kids. I think this really represents the sweet spot between what parents want for their kids and what kids want for themselves. And let me give you a few reasons why I think that. Here's the first one. The Labo VR kit is constructed out of cardboard, rubber bands, and these little plastic washers. And I consider myself to be a pretty handy individual, but even still, it took me about 2.5 hours to put together the goggles and then the blaster in the Labo VR kit. And I found it to be a really engaging process, both for my mind and for my hands, as I tried to translate the instructions that I was seeing on the Nintendo Switch to the construction materials that I was given in the kit. And that's what parents want for their children a lot of times, to build something physical with their hands, something in the real world, and being able to take real materials and to construct something productive. And the Labo VR is a great exercise in creativity and in simple machines. There's a trigger mechanism in there that's operated by rubber bands. You know, it's like a toy that we would have built before video games ever existed. And the construction of the Labo VR really has massive application when it comes to the future and that job market that we talked about. You know, it could be that the build process of this very simple cardboard rubber band device inspires your child to be an engineer, or to be a product designer, or to be the individual who designs the robots of the future. So not only for that reason is this a good piece of tech, but also because it's an introduction to virtual reality. Pro-level consumers of virtual reality, or even Oculus Rift, Vive, Index kind of people, are probably not going to be that interested in Labo VR. But for a kid, this is a great introduction to the virtual reality world and how you can use a physical object to interact with that world. And the more people that get introduced and then excited about virtual reality, the better, because that way the technology advances all that much faster. And here's the last and final reason I think this is a toy that smart parents buy for their kids. And that is because it teaches practical problem-solving skills. And I have a great example of this. When I was building this kit, I was almost completely done. It had taken me a long time. And so I was attaching the rubber band mechanism that worked in the trigger, and I found out that my trigger housing was too tight. And the rubber band couldn't snap the trigger back and forth. And so I had to problem solve and troubleshoot this issue and figure out, why is it that my trigger won't pop back? And I realized that it was because I had put a washer on backwards up here that holds the trigger housing together. It was creating too much friction on the trigger, and the trigger wouldn't come back. So I had to tear it apart, fix the problem, reverse the washer, and then put it all back together. And eventually I had a working product. But it was a great example and a great case study and lesson in practical troubleshooting. And that has massive application across all job markets and all interests. So that's what the parents get. What do the kids get? Well, they get exactly what they want: a new game and some fun. So everyone's happy, lessons have been learned, fun is going to be had, and the imagination is powering it all. So I would encourage you, if you have a child who has a Nintendo Switch and is looking for a new game, go pick up the Labo VR kit. It's $40 for the starter kit, that's the one I have, $80 for the full kit, and so not terribly expensive. I'll put a link to both on Amazon down below so you don't have to go hunting for them. And I'd like to say this as well, and that is that we all know Nintendo is not a high-end virtual reality company. Their devices are not high-end. They're very basic, and they've taken a lot of heat over Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey in virtual reality. But one thing that we can love Nintendo for, and I think the reason that they're so loved by so many people, is that they find new, innovative, creative ways for us to interact with our games. You know, we all remember the Wii and how that changed video gaming. And now they're stepping into new areas with their great device, the Switch. And I think we all owe a great deal of appreciation to Nintendo for being willing to step out and do things a little bit differently and inspire others to change the industry. Thanks for watching the video. Let me know if you're going to pick up one of these or if you already have and what your experience has been. Maybe you hated it. Let me know down below. Or maybe you have some other thoughts about whether or not this is good for kids. Let me know as well. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We do VR content at least 3 times a week. And make sure to hit that bell notification. That way you know every time a new video comes out. Hit that like button, share it with your friends, and I'll see you guys next time.